Hey everybody, thanks for staying connected. The hardware was handed out earlier this week at the NHL Awards. Along with those accolades, there is a new crop of inductees to the hallowed Hall of Fame and the Bell Center rafters. Our Greig sat down with Ted Bird to get his take.
Well, it's a beautiful summer day, so let's talk about what else but hockey. Of course, I'm joined by Ted Bird from Montreal Hockey Talk. Now, Ted, let's start with the most recent news, the signing of Andrei Markov again. 3-year deal, but he has had 2 knee surgeries. He's tipping the wrong side of the scale on 35. Is he worth $5.75 per year?
He is to the Canadians, and that's all that matters. I mean, when you've got cap space and you're a cash cow like the Canadians are, you can afford to overpay. And they've clearly decided that Andrei Markov's a guy they want to keep. And if they have to overpay to keep him, then that's something they're willing to do. And the knee has held up the last 2 seasons, or season and a half-ish if you include the strike. And he's played well. So, I mean, to them, I think it's much like the extension to Coach Michel Therrien. It's a stability thing. And if they had to overpay, they were happy to because they can afford it.
Well, I mean, he's a defenseman who can kind of play with most other defensemen on the team. You can play with PK. He plays with Alexei Emelin a lot. But, I mean, he's going to be a Habs lifer, really, because he's had 13 seasons with the team. Now an extra 3. He'll likely retire with the Habs. How much is this good faith on the part of the Canadians to keep him in the red, white, and blue?
I think that might have a little bit to do with it, but I think primarily it was a hockey and a business decision.
Okay, well, going from people who aren't retiring to the people who are being retired, let's talk a little bit about Guy Lapointe's number 5 being raised to the rafters in the Bell Center, next to Boom Boom Geoffrions, of course. Why do you think he was retired over maybe more popular choices, let's say, like Guy Carbonneau or Chris Chelios?
Well, for one thing, he's a Hockey Hall of Famer.
That helps always.
I think 6 Stanley Cup rings for Guy Lapointe, second highest scoring defenseman in Canadians history. And not to denigrate either Carbonneau or Chelios, but I think Lapointe was a better player certainly than Guy Carbonneau. Guy Carbonneau was a good player for many years. Chris Chelios was a Hall of Fame player for many years, but I don't know if he spent enough years with the Canadians to have his jersey retired. I think maybe you could argue that his best years were with Chicago and Detroit, but I don't want to play the comparison game. I would just say that Guy Lapointe deserves it, and it's overdue, just as the Savard and Dryden and Robinson jersey retirements were overdue at the time that they were raised to the rafters.
Well, you mentioned Savard and Robinson, who were retired actually a number of years ago, but why do you think that Lapointe's only being retired now compared to the rest of the big 3?
I don't know, and it seems unfortunate. It's kind of too bad that he wasn't retired at the same time as them.
It would have been a nice ceremony to have all 3 of them.
Yeah, well, it would fit, right? But better late than never.
Exactly. Well, unfortunately, better late than never doesn't really apply in this case, but Pat Burns finally being inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. Now, this has been long overdue, and a lot of people are saying, it should have been done while he was still alive. Unfortunately, he lost his battle with cancer a few years ago. But what do you make of the timing of this happening now?
Well, the speculation is, and it can only be speculation because members of the Hockey Hall of Fame Selection Committee are sworn to confidentiality, but Serge Savard and Harry Sinden, both of whom Pat Burns worked under as a coach when they were general managers in Montreal and Boston respectively, were on the selection committee when Pat Burns was rebuffed. They're now off the selection committee and he got in. So the speculation is that there must have been some bad blood there from when they worked together, because Burns was very much his own man. He didn't play the corporate game, he didn't play politics. So he may have rubbed one or both of them the wrong way, and they kept him out as a result. That's the speculation, and that's all we can do, because like I say, the selection committee is sworn to secrecy. But if you look at the timing, it adds up.
Well, unfortunate that a man who never played politics has politics keeping him out of the Hockey Hall of Fame. But Ted, thank you so much for this. We really appreciate it, and we'll be sure to talk more hockey this summer.
Thanks, Kelly.